Männer, es war ein langer Krieg. Es war ein tapfer Krieg. Ihr habt tapfer und stolz für euer Vaterland gekämpft. Seid eine besondere Truppe, die ineinander...
Hey everyone, Hydrohead here, and this is Oblivion Song. This is a comic by Robert Kirkman and Lorenzo De Felici. Lorenzo, by Robert Kirkman and Lorenzo. This is by Skybound, which is owned by Image, so really it's an Image comic. Kirkman, he does Walking Dead, so I would assume everybody is at least relatively familiar with Kirkman. I didn't read anything about this. I just heard DNC talk a little bit about it. Well, a little bit about the fact that Kirkman had a new comic, and then he just went on these big tangents about Kirkman that I wasn't really interested in. But my shop had a whole ton of these, and even though I hate Eric Larson and most of the guys at Image, I still bought it. I don't care. So let's check it out. It's pretty good. It's kind of, another typical post-apocalyptic story. The story kind of... So they kind of fill you in about midway, but it's basically everybody thinks that hell essentially opened up. All these monsters just randomly showed up and started slaughtering people. Over half the town that the story is based in is destroyed and missing. They created this huge memorial wall where they basically said... they turned it into kind of like a religious thing where these monsters are basically hell filled up, so they came to Earth or up on top to the terrestrial, and so they started killing all the evil people. So all those people that disappeared were considered like sacrifices to protect everybody else. Our main character, he goes into the Oblivion, which is what they call this destroyed, hellacious, monster-filled area, and he tries to rescue humans that went missing. And when he does rescue them, he goes to that wall and he etches their name off of it. And it's caused a lot of drama throughout this. So the art is good. It's, I don't know what kind of style it is. I would say it's very similar to like what you'd see in Maestro's or... honestly, a lot of Image Comics. Image Comics seems to do a lot of... the indie guys seem to do a lot of this style. This real rough, expressive, but cartoony kind of thing. Anyway, we start off with these two people running from some crazy-looking monster. And that's when we finally meet our protagonist in this nice little full-page spread. Very cool-looking stuff. I love this. And this kind of... stuff going on here is why I say it's a lot like Maestro's and a lot of the other indie companies, is you get a lot of weird, goopy alien creatures, I guess. He looks pretty badass. So as the people are running, I actually thought he was going to be shooting the monster, not them, but he basically hits them with these darts. They lightning bolt up and poof, disappear. She's freaking out. She doesn't know where he went. She's being chased by a monster, and then her, I'm assuming, old man just disappears. Our protag tags her right as this fucking, right as this beastie destroys the place he was standing on. I'm actually pretty sure. No, okay, yeah. So the beastie just tore down the building and knocked him out of the way. He's still going for, or the monster is still chasing the chick, and that dart finally activates and zaps her out of the way as well. And then that's when the monster takes notice of our protag, and he starts freaking out and starts hitting this belt that we assume is supposed to take him out as well. It, of course, fails. We get some nice chase scene. The whole first part of this book is real nice. It's more action than dialogue, but it's all so expressive that it really gets you into it, even though you're not reading a whole lot of it. I would say the beginning of this book is absolutely fantastic. Once he finally disappears back to Oblivion, or back out of Oblivion, we finally start getting some information on the story. We see some people helping the two that just got transferred out of that area. The chick is freaking out and clawing up this dude. The guy is still passed out, and we see some normal people basically tranking her and helping her. That's when we start finding out that monsters took over the world, and over like half the population got sent out into this area called Oblivion. And he's basically going in, finding people, and saving them. And these two people have been in there for like 10 years now. So that's why they're really, really hard to get over how scared of everybody they are. But they end up perfectly fine. These are actually the first survivors that have been found in quite a few years. They were considering shutting this program down until our protag managed to find some people. This is where we finally see that wall that I mentioned earlier. And we see this guy out there, Hellfire and Damnation, talking about how we need to leave these people out there because their sacrifice is what makes it so the rest of us can all be alive. And every time he pulls somebody out, that means those monsters are going to come and take somebody else in. And of course, he just ignores the dude, cars off the names of the people, and he leaves while that guy is still talking about how people like him need to be stopped. Throughout this whole story, we find out that his brother was one of the people that had been taken, and as they're trying to shut down his department, he's trying to convince them to just send a specialized task force to do one final sweep to make sure there's nobody else left out there. And everybody's like, look, we know this is because your brother's out there. This isn't because you're a good person and you actually want to save people. This is completely selfish, and you're making a mistake. You need to stop. His coworkers, his wife, his family, everybody is coming down on him. As he's leaving this bar, we get some sort of conflict and an allusion to something that I'm sure is going to show up later in the story. This guy basically says that his brother, our protag's brother, owes him a lot of money, so he's better off just leaving him out in the Oblivion to die. But they don't really go any more into that, so I'm sure that's going to come up later. The whole middle of this book is pretty much just story. He does a good job on the dialogue and everything. The art's semi-boring, not always super great looking here. But, they're not really doing anything impressive. They're just telling you what's going to happen, setting everything up. And it kicks along well enough. You're not going to get bored and stop reading halfway through. So, near the end of the book, one of the scientists who had been in Oblivion for a while and was actually saved starts talking to our protagonist about how he needs to realize that he's falling in love with that area. And that's when we find out about the title of this book, Oblivion Song. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just going to read it. I'm glad I got out of there before I got addicted to that place, like you. Addicted to what? You've been there. You've been there. Is there a single thing you miss? The sounds. When nothing was going on, the few times there wasn't a monster chasing us, the quiet moments, the breeze, the creatures in the distance, insects, it all came together like... It sounded like nothing I'd ever heard before. It was like music. And then our protag, I call it the Oblivion Song. It's haunting, but beautiful in a way. I could make you a recording of it, maybe. Not this trip, but no! And the scientist tells him that he absolutely wants nothing to do with that. Once those memories gone, that was way too difficult of a time, and that small taste of beauty isn't worth it. And then we're right back into that world. And we believe, well, I won't tell you that. So we're back into the world. He's still out doing a final sweep. He is now officially looking for his brother. And then some stuff happens, and I'm not going to ruin it for you. I swear, every time I make a video, somebody's got to walk by my car. Alright, so I'm not going to cover the last little bit, but we are led to believe that he may or may not have found his brother, and then we see somebody who may or may not be extremely important to the rest of the story. So, I highly recommend this. I thought it was really good. I don't support Image Comics, but I do support some of their creators. So, whatever decision you make, whether it's reading it online for free or actually going out and buying it and giving those guys your hard-earned cash, that's all up to you. But I do recommend the story. Hail Hydra, baby.